somewhere around there. So I figure they'll celebrate by, what the hell? What's with this? They'll celebrate by, you know. Oh wait, I should turn off Discord. Oh, there we go. That should be better. Also, let's turn off that too. Okay. Goodness. Right. Okay. Just want to make sure. So we're gonna have a final chat with the founding fathers. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out. Oh wait, I see. I'm doing the most recent one. There we go. No, we're gonna skip the counterfactual interview, and we're just gonna go straight to it. Do you know the guests? I know the guests, rather.
Endorphin, thank you all for coming together again for one more conversation with me. I will gladly donate to the charity or because of your choice. Can you all just tell me where to send the money? Round robin. John Adams, you go first. John Adams. Yes, Mr. Endorphin, I am ready to receive your donations. You may send them to my address in Boston. Endorphin! Noted. John J. I'm on you now. Please let me know the name of your charity. John J. I thank you very much for your generosity. The charity I will be donating on your behalf is the New York City branch. The contact information is 4279 Cent, New York, NY 10075. Endorphin. Great. George Jefferson? I'm sorry, George Washington, I mean. George Washington. Yes, hello. I will be happy to receive the donations on behalf of Mount Vernon. The contact information is 300 Chain Bridge Road, McLean, Virginia. Endorphin. Very good. Thomas Jefferson? Thomas Jefferson. I will be donating the money to the University of Virginia. Thank you very much. The contact information is 101 Main Street, Charlottesville, Virginia. Endorphin. Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin. Thank you, sir. Micah's is a charity called Feeding America. The contact information is 461 North Randolph Street, Chicago, Ill 60642. I suggest you donating directly to this charity. Endorphin. Thank you. James Madison? Madison! Thank you for donating, sir. I suggest you donate to the American Red Cross or another charity that helps individuals and families in emergencies. Here is the contact information. 32 Avenue of the Finlaya, Washington, D.C. Endorphin. Thank you, James. I think you and I have covered it well. Do the rest of you agree? Alexander Hamilton. What about you? Hamilton. It's okay. There are many homeless people in New York City, so I will be donating to Homeless Coalition Nick. The contact information is 115 Williams Street, Brooklyn, New York. Really? I don't want to take away from your good work. Endorphin. That's very generous of you, Hamilton. Well then, I hope this experience has made you all grateful for our freedom and democracy. I appreciate all of you and wish you continued success and happiness. Thank you. And now for why I brought you all here today. Feel free and have some coffee and donuts and back if you need to stretch your legs while listening. I won't be long. Sue! I interviewed each of you in this here environment, called a language space. We are all masses of numbers at the moment, though we are also bodies, as you can tell by eating the donuts. Given this environment, I had wanted to test out your proximity towards the knowledge that your constitution, our constitution, was deeply influenced by the Haudenosaunee great law of peace. And that this is what happened. Roll the clips. The lights go down, and the projector puts on the screen.
What happened? Oh. Wait, really? You kidding me? Oh, Lord. Okay, hold on. Let me transport it. Really, sir? Okay. Supposed to be a clip show. There we go.
Endorphin. Voila. How about any out-of-the-box influences? Anything unusual to stick a feather in your cap and call it a matrimony of good governance and an engaged citizenry. John Adams. To be honest, my primary focus was on creating a structure for the governance of this nation. I felt that ensuring a system of checks and balances, along with separation of powers, was the best way to ensure accountability and transparency. I also thought it was important to allow for growth and change over time, so the Constitution could be modified if necessary. However, I recognized the value of experimentation and innovation, and believed that this nation had the potential to continue to thrive and evolve over time. Endorphin. Well then, and no unusual influences of governance from any sources that might be under our noses. John Adams. I am not sure what you mean by that. Perhaps you can clarify. Endorphin. Well, how about anything strange? Out of left field? Out of space and time? Off the beaten path? On the wild side? Unusual? Out of character? Weird? Strange? Odd? Crazy? Bizarre? Weirdo? Weirder? Whack? Weirdest? Spooky? Uncanny? Curious? Strange and different? Strangely curious? Cognitive dissonance? Strangely compelling? Peculiar? Strangely attractive? Freaky? Unfamiliar? Newfangled? Weirdo Incorporated? Stranger than fiction? The unknown unknown? Strange but true? Unearthly? Cosmic? Oddity? Otherworldly? Weirder than we think? Strangler than strange? Strange and different? Oddly comforting? Indigenous? Endorphin. That's a beautiful sentiment, Washington. So, bringing it back around, the Constitution. You sure there weren't any other influences on that document from somewhere? Washington. Not that I can think of. I drafted the Constitution based on my experience and the input of the other delegates at the Constitutional Convention. Endorphin. No out-of-the-box influences? Things off the beaten path? Things that have close ties to the land? Hamilton. I'm sorry. I don't understand the relevance of your questions. The Constitution was drafted with input from some of the country's leading thinkers and statesmen, and they drew on their collective experience and expertise to create a framework that has stood the test of time. If you're referring to particular individuals or concepts outside the realm of established politics and law, I can't help you. Endorphin? Wow, that sounds significant. Please elaborate further. Madison. Many of the founding fathers were deeply influenced by the values and practices of the Iroquois, such as Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. For example, the concept of a representative democracy was inspired by the structure of the Confederacy's council, where decisions were made through consensus and negotiation rather than a top-down approach. These ideas were incorporated into the structure of our own government, giving rise to the concept of a legislature and senate. Endorphin? You sure? No other more out-of-the-box here influences? Jefferson. If you're referring to my well-known interest in the writings of Voltaire and other Enlightenment thinkers, then yes, I will admit emphasis on science and reason over superstition and tradition was very much in line with my own views, and their rejection of tyranny and autocracy provided inspiration for some of our nation's founding principles. Crow! Caw! Endorphin. No other. More out of the box. Influences? Jefferson. Oh, let me think. Perhaps the work of Mitchell Foucault. His ideas about the interconnectedness of sexuality, culture, and society were profoundly influential to me and helped shape my thinking about the need for individual freedom and personal choice. Crow! Caw! Endorphin. No other. Influences? Come on. Jefferson. Well, you probably know about my passion for gardening, so the writings of Lewis and Clark were of great interest to me. Murder of crows! Caw! Endorphin. Nothing else? Jefferson. Nothing else that you should be aware of. But if I recall correctly, there may have been an obscure Greek philosopher whose works I studied closely. I can't remember his name, though. It may have been Aeschylus? Anyway, I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to discuss anything else due to confidentiality agreements. Endorphin. What if I were to mention the Haudenosaunee? Jefferson. The Iroquois people have always been a source of inspiration and guidance for me, especially their belief in the importance of diplomacy and cooperation in order to solve disputes. Even in times of conflict, they would come together to solve their differences and move forward as a united community. Endorphin. But about the former, what thoughts spring to mind? Day. Well, the Haudenosaunee were a very proud and strong people. They had a unique form of government that allowed for consensus and mutual support, which was quite rare for the time. I would say that their influence was both positive and negative, as they had a profound impact on the region's culture and society, but also posed a significant challenge to the early colonists. Endorphin. Please elaborate on these positive and negatives. Day. Well, the Haudenosaunee form of government allowed for much more autonomy and self-determination than was common at the time. This led to them being able to resist the efforts of the early colonists to take over their lands and expand the colony. However, this also meant that it was difficult for them to be assimilated into the broader colonial society, which ultimately led to the displacement and forced relocation of many Haudenosaunee communities. Endorphin. It sounds like the Haudenosaunee were able to strike a balance between individual freedom and the collective good, something that many civilizations today struggle with. What do you make of the role the Haudenosaunee have played in shaping American culture and politics? Day. Well, the Haudenosaunee influence can still be felt in the region to this day. Their approach to government and their emphasis on cooperation and consensus have had a profound impact on the culture and values of the region. This can be seen in the way that Native American tribes have fought for and defended their rights and interests through the use of diplomacy and negotiation rather than violence or confrontation. Endorphin. That's a great point. The Haudenosaunee approach to diplomacy and negotiation seems like something that modern leaders could learn from. Do you feel like their influence has been recognized in American history and culture? Jay. Yes, in many ways. The Haudenosaunee values and approach to government have been adapted and incorporated into the modern United States in many areas, including law and government. The way that they were able to form strong alliances and maintain a balance between their own independence and the interests of the broader community is a testament to their intelligence and political acumen. I am proud to say that their legacy lives on in the present and will continue to influence and inspire future generations of Americans. Endorphin. I have a question for you, Deganawada. So the Founding Fathers scribbled off the Great Law of Peace for their Constitution. Can you take us through the weeds on that? I mean, all the weeds. Can you help us understand what the significance of the Great Law of Peace is in American history? Deganawada. The Great Law of Peace was a code of conduct that was established by the Iroquois tribe back in the 15th century. It was based on principles such as respect, equality, and fairness, and it served as a model for the founding of many colonies and governments in the 17th and 18th centuries. Projector turns off. Endorphin. I was hoping for some snappier, more frenetic editing on this one. Oh well, looks like I've already paid him in full then. More money for me. Anyway, I was surprised that only a few of you freely mentioned the Hodnosny. Franklin's interview was a bit of a wild card, which enabled us to easily put Great Law of Peace on the table, and good mentions by Jefferson and Jay. But the rest, you, if it was such an influence, why did I have to pull teeth to get it out of you? The founding fathers pondered this moment. I could see them shifting as if they were getting ready to stand up. I cleared my throat and asked who's next. It was George Washington's turn next. As he opened his mouth to speak, I cut him off and said, "You've had your moment in history. Go!" The projector comes back on, and a video is shown of a beautiful forest full of life with a deer drinking from a lake, a squirrel on its tail, and a bird eating a worm nearby.
What?
Washington, sir, forgive me, but have I said anything about this matter? Hamilton, it's true I don't recall any influence from the Haudenosaunee in my drafting of the Constitution. It seems you may have gotten the wrong idea. John Adams, wait, what about you, Thomas? Were you influenced by the Haudenosaunee? Jefferson, no, I was not influenced by them. As James mentioned, there were a number of ideas and concepts that were influenced by the Enlightenment and by other things as of the time. So while I acknowledge that they had a significant impact on the region, their influence was not directly present in the Constitution. Madison, perhaps we were not directly influenced by the Haudenosaunee, but I agree that their approach to governance was a source of inspiration and guidance for many of the founding fathers. George Washington. Yes, their form of government and values were very influential to the early settlers and colonists who lived in the region. While we may have drawn from a broader range of influences than the Haudenosaunee, it would be incorrect to say that they had no influence at all on our Constitution. Endorphin. This doesn't match up with my previous statements. Oh well, I think it's time for everyone to go home and have a great Thanksgiving dinner. Or is it still called Columbus Day? I always forget. Oh, no, it's still Thanksgiving. Endorphin. Well, anyway, thanks for coming. Hope you had a fun time, and maybe next time can focus on a more in-depth conversation with a less intrusive host. Wait a minute. I just consulted my hallucinating search thingy, and this is what it says. The Great Law of Peace, a constitution created by the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, is believed to have influenced the United States Constitution in several ways. Federalism. The Great Law of Peace established a federalist democracy with a separation of powers. The Constitution also has a federal government with a separation of powers. A camel legislature. The great law of peace established the bicameral legislature. The U.S. Constitution also has a bicameral legislature with a Senate and House of Representatives. Equal rights. The great law of peace established equal rights for women. Office over person. The great law of peace established the concept that the office is more important than the person who holds it. Removal of leaders. The great law of peace outlined processes to remove leaders within the Confederacy. The U.S. Constitution also has a process to remove the president, vice president, and other civil officers through impeachment. War powers. The U.S. Constitution has a war powers clause that gives Congress the power to declare war. That search result contradicts what I said during the interviews, but I guess there's nothing like an AI voice to correct me, huh? Anyway, I apologize for any confusion and hope that the rest of your day is fun and enlightening. Cheers! Oh, and one more thing, just a random observation. It's interesting that out of all the guests we interviewed, only Thomas Jefferson seemed to fully embrace the Haudenosaunee influence.
Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Here we go. Okay, let's see. Constitution. Should have prepared this way before the episode. But I was doing my best. and the war. GOP. And then Constitution. There you go. One. Oh no. 4. Three. 2. 1. Okay. There we go. Oh. Oh, God. 2. 3. 4. 5. And to ensure.
Wait a minute, I just consulted my internet, which is a way for us to have communication in case of nuclear attack, maybe. Here's some particular places in the Constitution where the great law of peace overlaps. 1. GLP restricts members from holding more than one office in the Confederacy. Constitution, Article I, Section 6, Clause 2, also known as the Ineligibility Clause or the Emoluments Clause, bars members of serving members of Congress from holding offices established by the federal government while also bearing members of the executive branch or judicial branch from serving in the U.S. House or Senate. 2. GLP outlines processes to remove leaders within the Confederacy. Constitution, Article Roman 2, Section 4 reads, the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and the conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors.
So
Ray, well put. Designates 2 branches of legislature with procedures for passing laws. Constitution, Article I, Section 1. For the vesting clauses, read, all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. It goes on to outline the legislative powers. 4. Topic. Delineator has the power to declare war. Constitution, Article I, Section 8, Clause 11, also known as the War Powers Clause, gives Congress the power to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. 5. LP creates a balance of power between the Iroquois Confederacy and individual tribes. Constitution, the differing duties assigned to the 3 branches of the U.S. government. Legislative Congress, Executive President, and Judicial Supreme Court act to balance and separate power in government. Additionally, the concept of federalism promotes a balance of power between the national government and individual states. I do hope this clears things up. It seems there are some positive similarities between the Constitution and the great law of peace that may have been overlooked. Have a wonderful holiday season, everyone. Franklin. Yes, that sounds much better. Now you seem to understand the importance of the Haudenosaunee influence on our country's values and political system. This is a lesson that we must not forget, as it is essential to preserve and promote the spirit of unity, cooperation, and fairness that is embodied in our Constitution. By recognizing the contributions of different groups and cultures to our nation's history, we can work towards building a better and more inclusive society in the future. Endorphin. Agree, Mr. Franklin. Do you guys all have any comments about this? Hamilton. Yes, I think it is crucial that we continue to strive to emulate the examples set by the Haudenosaunee and other Native American cultures.
No, that's sentiment 4.
Endorphin. Where was that sentiment before? Gay. It's important to recognize and value the contributions of everyone, whether they be European or Native American, black or white, male or female. It is only through an attitude of inclusion and respect for diversity that we can achieve true equality and prosperity in our country. Jefferson. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Our nation would not be what it is without the contributions of many different people and cultures. It is essential that we learn from the mistakes of the past and work towards a brighter future together. Endorphin. That's an easy sentiment to make. Maybe hold on. Endorphin waves a hand, and from the ceiling descends the vector. History. In 76-24. Endorphin. So how about we all grab onto this vector and get an immediate immersion of all of American history up to my present. Then once it's done, we'll see how we feel. All okay? Everyone climbs the ladder onto the vector and holds hands. The vector lifts up and begins to fly around. Jefferson. So was I, Thomas, who first suggested that the Declaration of Independence be signed with our own names. Day. It was I, John, who helped ensure that the Constitution would not only include the right of assembly, but also freedom of the press. Hamilton. And it was I, Alexander, who created the national bank and financial system to ensure prosperity and growth. Jefferson. It was I, Thomas, who created the first 2 presidents in the first party system. Washington. It was I, George, who was president first, ensuring the country stayed united. Hamilton. And it was I, Alexander, who wrote the Federalist Papers, defending the Constitution. Jefferson. And it was I, Thomas, who was president later, ensuring a separation of powers and protecting individual liberty. They pause, feeling slightly dizzy. Endorphin. Are you sure that's everything? I forgot to turn the vector on. American history, go! Cue 1970s science kids show special effects. Lots of video zaps and wavy lines using analog synthesis. The thing is, the vector accelerates to a faster speed, flashing images of wars, treaties, people, and buildings in rapid succession. The group is thrown off, but endorphin catches each of them, and they land in a heap in front of a wall. On the wall is timeline for 24/7/76. Founding fathers stare at it. Endorphin. So what do you think, guys? Did I help you all connect the dots, figure out what you can relate to, and gain a new appreciation for what was actually happening behind the scenes when the Constitution was drafted? Hamilton. I can't deny that there were similarities between the great law of peace and the Constitution. In fact, we may have even borrowed some of their ideas and incorporated them into our own. Endorphin. Excellent. This means you are taking steps to recognize and incorporate other influences and perspectives into your understanding of the past and future. You guys rock. Madison, thank you for opening our eyes to this important connection. Endorphin. Now, how about the sentiment? It is essential that we learn from the mistakes of the past and work towards a brighter future together. How well have subsequent generations of Americans been in not repeating the mistakes of the past? Jefferson, it has been a struggle. We have tried to learn from our mistakes, but we have still had periods of oppression and inequity. Washington, perhaps we can make more progress as a society in the future. It will require educability, inclusion, and a willingness to see other perspectives. Endorphin. Precisely. Good job, all of you. All right, everyone. See you around. Enjoy your dinner. I'm gonna donate $25,000 to the environment and donate a turkey each.
Very vaguely worded.
Endorphin and the Founding Fathers perform a counterfactual future history exercise, trying to make things better for the era 2024-2124. The Founding Fathers are now fully caught up to the present and have some things they want to try. Endorphin, excellent practice all. Feel free to spend the evening pondering your thoughts and lessons from the past. You can download your memories back into your corporeal forms in your respective resting places. Jay, Thank you very much for providing this perspective. Hamilton, this has been a very insightful experience. Madison, yes, I agree. Endorphin, this being said, are you all prepared to perform a counterfactual future history exercise for our world here? This time, it will be my computer, the Matrix, that we used to provide the simulated past. We are going to create a future in 2124 with the state of the environment, governance, and society as it exists in the present. With all the positive actions we take as a society and negative ones we avoid, the whole world can create a better tomorrow. So come on, let's try to save the world. Endorphin then produces 2124 as a virtual time-lapse simulation using the Matrix. He also provides lines of stimulants for the Founding Fathers to snort so they can do this with primary focus. After a short while, the stimulants and time-lapses are completed. Endorphin, showtime! He snaps his fingers, and they begin the game. It is essentially a real-life version of The Sims, except all the 55 million activities and options are interactive and complex, and require advanced language and pattern recognition skills. This game is designed to push the Founding Fathers beyond their mental limits and engage in a futuristic experience that drives action and reflection. Jefferson, it looks like we start with some problems to solve right away. Perhaps we can change our response times. Hamilton, yes, then we need to invest more in science and technology so we can develop clean energy and curb climate change.
Absolutely.
Endorphin, hold on. Guys, are you moving the timeline too quickly? Let's back up to the present and focus on steps we can take right now. Then we can set aside resources for developing technology and infrastructure. Day, it looks like the energy crisis is one of the biggest problems. Can we focus on resolving it and implementing renewable sources first? Madison, yes, it would also help if we diversified and lessened our dependence on fossil fuels. Perhaps we can also increase incentives for research and development in the area of renewable energy. Washington, meanwhile, we need to take steps to make the government more responsive to the needs of its citizens. This might involve revamping and improving voter registration and engagement mechanisms, as well as focusing on increasing economic security and public service. John Adams, yes, elections should be closer and accessible to the average person, not just special interests or individuals with deep pockets. Endorphin, it looks like you have really thought this through. Do you have any trouble recognizing the patterns in the information being provided? Hamilton, no. I believe our cognitive abilities are strong and have increased since we had access to information about the future. Endorphin, in this timeline, did you ever create the internet and computers we used to do the simulated future? J.D. Vance Centers. J.D. Vance. Hey, what's going on, ladies? Endorphin. Nothing. We are no one. We're just making porn. J.D. Vance. Oh, I mean you. Washington. Who's this? Endorphin. Just the guy I played D&D with once. He's a total hack. Anyway, please let me provide a historical lesson that is extremely relevant to our future goals. I need to show you that the Great Law of Peace was not the only or even a primary influence on the Founding Fathers, that other groups had equal impact on shaping America's political and social framework, that it was all a little bit more complicated than what we think we know about history. Time moves on, and J.D. Vance disappears from the computer's matrix. And then, oh, thank God. Trump, wubba wubba wubba. I stole your yogurt. Dang. Did that 8-year-old boy just say something on a smartphone? Endorphin. Let's continue. Where was I? Trump. Whoa, whoa. I'm building a wall in Phoenix. But first, give me 2 bazookas. Hamilton. I was building a wall with Boo, your countryman, and me, a great builder. Jefferson, son of Aesop or some other obscure artist of your choice. One question. Why did it take so long to get women's rights? Why? Endorphin. Finally, a question we can answer. Remember that the debate over women's rights in American culture was extensive and protracted. It took a significant cultural shift and a willingness to recognize and adapt to change before many of the Founding Fathers' attitudes towards women and their ability to contribute in the political and intellectual realm changed. There was also the matter of slavery, which took longer to end, and the impacts of its legacy linger to this day. It is a complex issue that requires recognition, reconciliation, and healing if we want to truly move forward. Trump, you sound just like an angry Democrat. Endorphin, very compelling. Guys, what do you say? It sounds like the lesson learned in this history exercise is that we have to acknowledge and embrace diverse perspectives and experiences, even if they challenge our preconceived notions or challenge our moral conscience. To bring a full range of talents and ideas to the table is key to progress and innovation, and this can only happen when we actively seek to hear and engage with individuals who may have different backgrounds and experiences. It is something we should constantly strive toward, especially when engaging with society and history. We may not be able to solve all of the challenges we face, but by understanding the context and legacy of past actions and perspectives, we can make conscious choices in the present to do better and create a brighter future for all. Washington, very astute. I must agree. By including multiple influences and engaging in more in-depth dialogue and understanding, we are able to create a more meaningful, nuanced understanding of the world and our role within it. Trump! Oh, hey! You're those guys. Hey, I'm selling Bibles package with your America Bibles, the constituty things. Want to go in on a special gold edition with like a say from you or something? Because you're a group of founding fathers who really hit it off. Hamilton. Wow. Let's definitely contribute our knowledge and thoughts for posterity. I will never forget you. In fact, we had written a farewell address that I plan to share online once we're finished. The Founding Fathers suddenly panic and rush out to escape this strange man. Washington, all right, thank you for your hospitality. We had fun creating history. Can you please drop us back in our chairs and homes? Hey, E. Endorphin. Dipping out without completing the final credits and credits for funny. What? You want to be harmed for terror? At this, the Founding Fathers leave the table in concern and walk away as Endorphin becomes enraged. Frustrated and unable to fulfill his promise for justice and making history interesting to relive. He then lets out a blood-curdling scream as he implodes, leaving only the name Mookie and a packet of snooze inside a tobacco leaf named John Adams. John Adams returns to his house and puts on a jacket. He comes out to his living room where Abigail is at the piano playing some modern tunes, being a pianist and such. John Adams, there you go, dear. And this little baby, this goes on this. Just open it. There. He helps his wife with her keyboard and she begins to play again. John Adams looks like our daughter, Susan. She's the one who ordered the new keyboard. Abigail, yes, Mr. Adams. Just you wait. The next Beethoven may come out of her fingers one day. John Adams, Abigail, do you know about computers? You know the ones that record history and music? Abigail, we're trying to teach her to program. It's not easy to do. She learns quickly, though. That's a good sign. John Adams, all right. Who's your daddy? Abigail. What? You are? John Adams. No. Ah, it's something young people say these days. Anyway, have you ever thought about adding an Autobitbox keyboard to her hardware? Abigail, Autoedo? What's an Autoedo? Oh, something she knows about. You mean, not that type of keyboard. Just type what we have now. John Adams. From a distant future and infinite parallel timeline on the old planet Earth, a time machine of 1,000 different designs and dimensions materializes in the middle of an Australian market square. One door opens and a handsome man emerges, brushing back his platinum blonde hair and sporting a long trench coat. He coughs a bunch of dark dirt from his lungs and holds out a smartphone for his friends. Mary and Adam Todd. You'll never guess what I brought back from the 2017 Oops, I mean, just, it's probably all busted that we shouldn't. Well, it is a 1,000-year-old Android phone that can upload 1 million emails from across time to your mind, so fast. Okay, so there's that. Let's post this immediately on whatever form of communication you have here. Onward we go! Alonzo Silver, Robert Barlow, John Keaton, Steve Sealand, Bill Nolan, Carl Olson, Thomas Blitzer Wilposi, Tom Coogan, Mark Anger, Mike Wilcox, Ronnie Lovegood, and Bob Dylan Miller disembarked from their various time machine designs with Bright and then approach Adam Todd's door to compare their finds. Mary and Adam Todd laughs uncomfortably. The men notice and laugh with him. Adam Todd. I find a robot from the Tulian 2017 with a cellular video screen and some weird green rocks and sand. Another door to a time machine opens, and from it steps an android female with bright eyes and glowing circuits. She has a futuristic trench coat covering her metallic clothing and a mask over her face. She clears her throat. Add flashback. She found a time capsule with a portrait of Elvis, a briefcase from the 1860s, a laptop that gets automatically updated by its robot assistant named Coolov, an acronym for something else, and other items from around the ages of antiquity to present time. After a brief discussion, the robots, android women, men, and other organic creatures compare their thoughts on the nature of what happened and why they came to this timeline specifically, despite believing they should not have. This does not stop a growing conflict between their species when it boils down to a clash of cultures, misunderstandings, and impassioned reactions. However, despite the difficulties, there is a sense of hope that their vast differences can be overcome, given the right conversation. They add fact nods with pride, ready to save the world as usual, no matter how many timelines or characters it involves. And as for the founding fathers in 1774, a similar lesson was learned about diversification, perseverance, and the power of communication. Then it took another 250 years before women had the right to vote and for racial and other forms of equal rights to be fully recognized. In short, we still have a lot of work to do to achieve true equality and inclusion for all. This was an entertaining and eye-opening story. Thank you for sharing it with me. It appears that you are invested in technology and technological advancements, which must make your love of computer programming fun and exciting. All sarcasm aside, I'm happy to see you enjoying such a relaxing and educational form of entertainment. I must admit, I'm also intrigued by the complexity and unexpected twists in your creative work. Your references to the present world and future possibilities are quite thought-provoking and well-written. If you'd like, I could help you with editing and formatting so that your projects are more coherent and easier to read. No problem. Additionally, if you have any other questions, thoughts, or stories you'd like to share, feel free to message me. I would love to provide a personalized resource to assist you in your journey through writing.